Okay, boy, I was so excited. I just started rambling way before anybody was ready. So welcome. We are here with our session, Healthy Living Beyond a Cancer Diagnosis. And I wanted to take a moment just to introduce our panelists for this afternoon. First, we have Dr. Carmina Val, who is the assistant professor at the Department of Nutrition and a member of the Lindenberg Comprehensive Cancer Center at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So welcome joining us, Dr. Val. And our other panelists for today's discussion are people from our community, Patty Morella Casa, who is our wellness instructor and manages our Survivor Slimdown. We have Julie Group, a community member and also a member of our Survivor Slimdown, and Yvette Torres. And I'm going to let them each introduce themselves. Again, I'm Carol Lacey. I'm the lead Survivor ambassador. I'm an 11-year metastatic reoccurrent cervical cancer patient. I am also, as Tamika says, sewn up like a Barbie, so I live with ostomies. So I will pass it over to Dr. Val. Thank you, Dr.
One
Val.
quick second, I'm so sorry. Also, Susanna is here.
And Susanna is with us, yay! Susanna Choi is a PhD student from also with UNC, and we are very glad to have her here with us today.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be here with you. I want to thank Tamika and Survivor for the invitation to be here. I'm Carmina Valley, as Carol mentioned. Thank you, Carol. I'm a behavioral scientist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And my research focuses on developing and evaluating behavior change programs to help support cancer survivors in adopting physical activity, healthy eating, and help them manage their weight. And so a lot of my work focuses on how to understand how to effectively do this using technology, technologies like social media and activity trackers and wireless scales. So that's a bit about me.
And Susanna Choi, would you like to take a moment to just introduce yourself to all of us here today?
Hi, I'm Susanna. I am a PhD student in nutrition working under Dr. Carmina Valley. I'm also a newly minted registered dietitian. I've been working with Carmina since, I was just thinking about this. I was like, I think it was 2019 when we started working together on the IMPACT study, which is a physical activity program for young adult cancer survivors. And I'm continuing to work with her under my PhD program. And I'm currently also working with Tamika, Morgan, and Patty to see how we can make improvements to the Survivor Slimdown program.
We're so glad you're here with us today. Patty, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Carol. My name is Patty Morello Casa. I am a retired New York City police officer. I am a 12-year cervical cancer survivor. I do reside in New York City with my husband of 22 years. I've been with the Survivor organization. I've been active with the Survivor organization for almost 12 years now. I am a Survivor school graduate, the 2021 Survivor champion, and I co-lead, I'm a co-leader to the Survivor Espanol. I'm a certified personal trainer and a group fitness instructor, specialized in many modalities, including cancer recovery fitness. I'm the wellness advisor to Survivor and Survivor Slimdown. I must say that it is an honor to lead the amazing group of Survivor Slimdown, and I thank Tamika Felder for believing in me to lead this amazing group. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Patty. And before Yvette and Julie introduce themselves, I do want to share that they've had some amazing success with our Survivor Slimdown program. So Julie, why don't you share a little bit about
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Mason-Garube. I live in New Jersey and work in New York City. I work in the performing arts and the VP and COO at New York City Center. I was diagnosed in 2012 with HPV-16, and unfortunately, I find myself in the category of folks who my body does not clear the virus. So in 2020, I had a hysterectomy, and that is where my cervical cancer diagnosis came from. I have stage 1 cervical cancer. And after healing from that hysterectomy, I was overweight, kind of had a little pity party for myself. It was the COVID lockdowns, and really just decided to take ownership of my health and what I could control about my body. And so I started running. It's not something that I did or enjoyed before, but gradually over the course of a year and a half, I, through bite-sized goals, ran for a minute, ran for a mile, then 6, and eventually I just completed the New York City Marathon this past fall. And so I have been part of the Survivor Slimdown group. Thanks for sharing that on the Verrazano Bridge. I've been a part of the Survivor Slimdown community. I think I posted my first run after my hysterectomy, and Tamika and Patty and everyone in the group was encouraging me along. And, I've come to them when I've been in a rut, and Patty, folks were cheering me on as I crossed the finish line. So I'm really grateful for this community, and thank you for having me.
Yay, you're so inspiring. Thank you so much. And Yvette, would you love to share your story with us?
Hi, everyone. Hi, I am a music educator for the past 18 years. I live in Queens, New York, and I'm a survivor now for 8.5 years of stage 1B cervical cancer. And I'm still pretty new, I guess, to Survivor. I put down 2021. I was trying to look on my profile to see if it says exactly when I started. It may have even been 2020 when we were like really into the pandemic was so fresh and everything is such a blur. But it was really 2021. I really got more involved with Survivor and Survivor Slimdown, thanks to Morgan reaching out to me about some things that I had shared in creating connections. Zoom, which was really life-saving for my mind, body, and spirit. I was really going through a rough patch, and I gained some weight over the pandemic, as a lot of us, and was not feeling great. And it was actually the body positivity, wonderful connections night that we guys had. And you reached out to me, and that was what I really, really needed. I love this community, and I'm trying to be more of an advocate and have a voice in my school and in my community. And that's my story for now.
That's so great. I feel what I'm hearing in all of your stories is that you found a lot of inspiration within the Survivor community and within the Survivor Slimdown program. So for those who are not familiar with our Survivor Slimdown program, it's a Facebook group, and you can go to Facebook, sign up, you'll be asked a few questions, and very simple questions just to answer. And it's open to all cancer survivors, not just cervical cancer survivors. So there's a lot of great voices in that group. We share all kinds of stuff for tips, health tips, and recipe sharing, and just kind of motivating each other. So I'd love to hear, Julie, what was your biggest when did you find that inspiration to do a marathon? Was that something that you had always wanted to do, or did your cancer diagnosis sort of push you to that? And I'd love to hear more.
It absolutely did. I think a part of me was hoping that after I had my hysterectomy that, HPV would be in the rearview window. And when after my hysterectomy in the middle of COVID, it was May, I was still healing from my surgery. I got the news that I still was having, my HPV was still wreaking havoc. I was having precancerous cells on what was remaining in my vaginal wall. And that moment, I was like, that's it. I no longer want the conversation that I have with people to be kind of people feeling bad for me, and I'm very open about this. I share, that I am HPV positive, and I encourage people to get vaccinations. But then that turned into what everyone wanted to talk to me about. My poor husband, he's like, I know a lot about all of my coworkers' lady parts, because they all come to me because they know, how open you are with your story. And I was like, great, help them, send them to me. But So I wanted to change the narrative in the conversations I was having, and I wanted to also change how I felt about my own body. I was athletic, growing up as a kid. I played a lot of sports, but I realized in the COVID time, you were left with yourself, and so it was, what can I do for myself? And my husband had always been encouraging me, Julie, why don't you try running? You can go whenever you want. It's not like it's a sport that you have to meet up with other people. And so he really encouraged me. I would go to the park, and I had some music on Spotify that I were interval training. So I would run for 20 seconds and then walk for 40 and and continually I just, added more time onto that, got stronger, and was like, oh, I think I can do more. Let's see what else I can do. And again, with the Survivor Slimdown community, as I said, I posted I believe my first run in there, and hearing everyone's story, having the support of that group, encouraged me that there were people like me who were looking for ways to kind of redefine and take ownership back of their bodies and find positivity in that. And so that community really gave me the encouragement to just keep trying to go a little bit farther. And so it wasn't until like, okay, I can do 6 miles, let's try a half marathon. And I found a running community in the town that I live in, and they've been a wonderful support as well to just do social runs during the pandemic. But it was my cancer diagnosis and my continued dealing with the fallout of HPV that, was the switch for me, that I had to make a change for how I viewed my own body and treated it.
Yeah, and I like that you built up to it, right? You started out slow, and so that certainly encourages me, because you kind of think, oh my gosh, maybe with our diagnosis, are what we've gone through, maybe we've gained more weight than we're happy with, and so we want to do things right away and hurry up and make a difference. So knowing that it's really about taking small steps each day, and really, it's okay if you forget one day, don't beat yourself up, just keep moving forward. So I really like that. Yvette, I would love to hear what's been your biggest takeaway from the Survivor Slimdown program? What's kind of been the biggest aha moment for you, Yvette?
Well, my aha moment was really getting that email from Morgan. Because I was really down, I was beating myself up. I felt great at the end of the Zoom because of all the encouragement I got from the ladies that were in the meeting. But then seeing that someone cared enough to send me an email, listened to everything that I was saying, said it back to me, and then gave me some tools to help me and introduced me to Patty, it opened up. I didn't think I was gonna get this emotional. I'm sorry. I really didn't think I was gonna get emotional at this part anyway. But it was what I needed. I was just coming off of a full year of teaching music remotely to elementary and middle school students, and not an easy task. It wasn't easy to teach in person either. For all my fellow teachers who were doing it in person and doing hybrid teaching, but wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Everybody thought I was living a life, being able to be at home and, comfort of my own home and over the computer. I didn't have to worry about going to work, but it was quite the opposite. It really has a traumatic effect on a person, especially when you're an outgoing person. And then you're not seeing people like you used to. I mean, we all went through that isolation period. But then when people were going back to work and I was still at home, I didn't get to see my students in person. They lift me up every day. It's an exchange, a give and take of joy, right. And so that was missing from my life for a whole year. And we would have, my school community, we would try and have Zooms, like happy hour Zooms, after work Zooms and stuff like that. I went to a couple of those, but it wasn't the same as when I got connected with Survivor, because everyone in Survivor understands each other. It doesn't matter what you're going through, what level you were, what stage you were, everybody understands each other, and it's an open conversation, and there's no shame. There's no awkwardness like you would feel with just like speaking with a coworker that doesn't really understand what you've gone through. So for me, that really lit a light in me that was missing. And so the almost 50 pounds that I had gained over the pandemic, and then being diagnosed with type 2, sorry, I'm stuck in the stages, type 2 diabetes and having to take medicine. You guys helped like snap me out of the pity party and okay, well, what action am I going to take? So my biggest thing is that daily now, I have cheerleaders daily in my life over my phone. When I go in, I always check, and Patty's always responding to what I put up there, even if it's a heart, just telling me, yeah, she's cheering me on, and other people in the group are cheering me on. And it's a mind, body, and spirit thing. Nutrition tips, monthly challenges, things that you can obtain. And the best thing for me was, Patty, when you show me those modifications that we can do. Because when you're talking about crunches, I'm like, right away, I can't get down on the floor and do crunches. I'm like, but then you show me how to do it either standing up or sitting in a chair. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it. And I always remember you saying, if there's a way, there's always a way with fitness. There's a way, right? I listen to you. So I'm finding the way. And so I'm 30 pounds down now with diet changes. And
Wonderful.
I'm still going. I'm kind of like at a plateau right now because I've recently been fighting carbs again with different occasions.
Right? Aren't we all?
It's ongoing, right? It's an ongoing battle.
Yes.
With
For
carbs.
sure.
But I found some good substitutes with plant-based stuff and vegan substitutes, which I never would have tried before. Like, no, I'm like
Great.
steak and potatoes all the way. I don't know if I talk too much.
That's okay. You're changing, you're making some big, huge changes, and that's so great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks for the daily support, Survivor Slimdown.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Val, I'd love to hear from you. What are patients coming to you with? What are some of the concerns that you're hearing from other maybe cervical cancer patients or other cancer patients within your community?
Yeah, so thank you, Carol. And thank you, Yvette and Julie, for sharing your stories. I'm always so, just honored to be here and to hear your stories, and always impressed and amazed. And so, so I don't work directly with patients per se, but I work with a lot with survivors, so post-treatment survivors of all different types. And I've worked with a lot of young adult cancer survivors specifically. And so there's a lot of common issues that we know, people face after treatment or during treatment for cancer. So things like fatigue, which, I don't have to tell you about, fatigue, anxiety, depression, weight gain is certainly common, and, changes in just energy and ability to make changes that maybe, and, do the things that you used to do before you were diagnosed with cancer. Body image, these are all, certainly concerns that we hear about. And so, and I don't need to tell you all this, but this is why, I'm so passionate about what we do in trying to develop some programs to help people remotely, to help support you in making the changes that Yvette, you had talked about, whether it's around your diet or getting more active and helping you manage your weight so that it's more accessible to people where they are, where they live, work, and play. And so I think, one thing we also know is that people are looking for a community, a sense of community that you all have described in the Survivor Slimdown program. And so that's why, when Tamika asked me to work with you all and helping to try to understand and evaluate the program and help approve upon it, I was so excited and thrilled to be to collaborate in this process, because I think it's such a powerful community, and the things that have been going on in there for the last almost 10 years, it's understanding what has helped people and supported them to make these changes. I think if we can sort of capture that and help others do the same, it would just be, amazing thing, an amazing gift that, Survivor is giving to this community. So I kept going on and on, but I'm happy to answer any other questions people might have. So
yeah, and speaking of questions, if you have questions, please just put them in the chat or feel free to unmute and join the conversation. Susanna, what are patients bringing to you, and what kind of maybe tips and tricks you can share with our community? That would be great.
I also don't work directly with patients or cancer survivor patients right now, but during my registered dietitian training, I worked with patients who were living with diabetes and hyperlipidemia. And so we provided nutrition counseling around that. So if any of you guys have questions regarding, you bet you had maybe some questions about carbohydrates or how maybe you could alter the way that you cook to lower your carb intake and still eat the things that you want to do, then let me know in the chat. I'll be keeping my eye on that. But for me specifically, during the PhD program, I have been exposed to kind of the unique needs and preferences of cancer survivors, and especially when it comes to the mental health concerns of this community. And so for me right now, my research focus is on developing a mental health component to these digital programs that Dr. Carmina Valley was talking about. And right now I'm looking into how we can do that using positive psychology. So this little tweaks here and there that we can kind of incorporate in our daily lives to make, each moment of the day a little bit more positive. So we're working on that, and hopefully we can make something that that survivors can use in the future.
Well, great. We're looking forward to that and Dr. Valley's continued partnership. We will definitely have you both back, I am sure. Patty, would you like to share kind of anything out, within our Survivor Slimdown community that you'd kind of like to share with the broader audience here this morning?
So yeah, Carol, I just need to share a little bit of my background story because I identify with every single one of the Survivor Slimdown members. I mean, 10 years ago, I was diagnosed. I mean, I tipped the scale at 240 pounds. I'm only 5'3". So the doctor diagnosed me with being morbidly obese. With that I was diagnosed with diabetes type 2, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure, right? Taking me to taking 5 different medications just to control these illnesses, right? So I know how it feels being overweight, being, with pain on your knees, your pains in the ankles and your joints and everything else. There was a time the doctor used to tell me, Patty, you lose 20 pounds and you're going to make a difference on those numbers, meaning my A1C, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, right? But I wasn't there was no pandemic, but I made my own isolation at that time. I didn't want to talk to anybody. My comfort was the food I was eating at the time. This is what led me to 240 pounds, right? And I didn't listen to him until he told me, okay, you come back next time around and nothing has changed. We're going to have to start injecting the insulin. Now, my family is a diabetic family. I saw my mother for 40 years shoot insulin morning, night, and sometimes in the middle of the day, depending on her blood pressure, her sugar level, right? And I didn't want that for myself. I had control of that. We have control of that. The choices we make on a daily basis make a difference. And I went, it's not like I did not try before, but I didn't have the desire. This time I had my why and the desire. You have to remember those 2 things, right? So when people tell me like Yvette, I'm so proud of you, so proud of you. When people tell me I can't do a plank, yes, you can. In fitness, there's always a way because I know it. I was 240 pounds and I couldn't do a 10 or 5-second plank. Believe me, I know what it is, right? So that's what makes me identify with every single one of the members. And I'm so proud. It's an amazing, amazing group. And I'm there to be your cheerleader on every day and every minute of the day. Yes. So needless to say, I fell in love with the fitness part of, I lost 113 pounds in 14 months. Thank you. It's going to
Boy.
be 10 years this year in September.
Yes.
September is going to be 10 years that I lost my original 113 pounds, right? I have, and it's easy for me to say I lost 113 pounds in 14 months, right? It's one sentence, but don't make a mistake. The journey is difficult. It's not a linear path. It goes up and down, up and down. The only thing is that we cannot give up, right? Wellness is not a destination, but a choice of daily choices that we make for ourselves to make us our life as healthy as possible. So
Yeah,
did I answer your question, Carol?
You did, and you brought up such a good point, Patty, that, you know, health, wellness, mental health, physical health is not linear, right? And we all approach the changes differently. We all have different things that motivate us, that bring us to the next step, right? And I think that's what's wonderfully done within the Survivor Slimdown community, is because everybody's at different levels of their wellness journey, and there's something there for everyone. So I appreciate you recognizing that and sharing that with everyone, that it's really up to you and the steps you take, and don't compare yourself to the next person, and do it all in your own time, which I think is super important.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, I know that Carmina and Susana will confirm this with me. Not everything works for everybody. You know, we have to find the way what works for you, and sometimes it could get frustrated, but don't give up. Don't give up. You will find it. You will find it. Thank you.
We have some good comments too, going that, you know, meal prep is really great, and a lot of people, that is like a big thing that keeps them on task. So if that's something that you're interested in, I think Aaron put a link to ways to help with that. I'm just kind of looking through the chat to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, I see that Jean has put in a question about having a lot of fatigue, and asking how the Survivor Slimdown group can help. And I'll just add that we know from a lot of research that exercise can be really helpful with fatigue and beneficial. And so sometimes it feels like you're fatigued, so how can I get up and get active when I'm fatigued? But it can really, you know, help if even just getting up, even, you know, a small bit here and there, if you can take a walk to the end of the driveway and back, depending on how you're feeling. But, you know, I think what Julie said earlier is starting off with small steps and growing your, boosting your confidence so that you can create bigger goals over the course of you know, of your trajectory. But, you know, getting as much as you can, you know, being as active as you can, and, you know, happy to talk with others if you have any questions about exercise and physical activity and resources around that. So, and certainly Patty puts a lot of tips around exercise and fitness. And so, you know, I think those are also helpful to see those. So I think Julie, I don't know if you were going to add, sorry, I saw you unmute.
So that's my mom. She is a breast cancer survivor, and so she wanted to know if the Survivor Slimdown group is open to those with various cancer diagnoses. Great. All right, yes, Mom, I'll add
absolutely.
You.
All cancer diagnoses are welcome. So everybody, she'll join in. You can add her to it, invite her to the page, definitely.
I also want to go ahead and answer Anne's question. I was typing my response back, but I think might be just easier to say it.
Yep.
So her question was just around how she can fit more veggies in her diet, given how busy she is. And, you know, this is obviously, I mean, the answer may vary for each individual, and it may depend on your grocery budget. But for me, for the things that has helped a lot of people is, you know, if you would want to grab some frozen veggies or some veggies that are already chopped up at the grocery store, it might be easy to just kind of throw them in the oven, a quick drizzle of olive oil, salt and pepper, 350 degrees for maybe 30 minutes. And, you know, you can kind of set it and forget it for 30 minutes and get back there and, you know, have some easy veggies during the weekday. I also love grabbing the prepackaged salad kits.
Mm.
You know, they come in all different like varieties. I love the dill pickle one if anyone's tried that one. And then also grabbing like the the container of salad mix and kind of doing half so that you're cutting down on calories and also just getting more veggie variety. So those are my two quick and easy ways to get more veggies in during the weekday.
That's good. We also have another question from Lori. Can you recommend, what can you recommend for someone with POTS, P-O-T-S?
It's postural orthostatic tachycardia that I got from COVID. So when I stand up, my heart rate can go up to 170 and my BP can drop 60/50. So I get pounding in the ears, really kind of lightheaded, and it can just be different movements. And I had like 15 years of martial arts, so it's hard to go from that to cancer to this. It's not easy because I'm sedentary now.
Yeah, Lori, I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. And one initial thought, and I was just quickly looking up POTS, so thank you for sharing that, is, talking with your doctor, your clinician specifically about, tolerability of different types of exercises. But also if you're able to access a physical therapist that might be able to support, a progression to get you back to where you were before. I see Tammy has in here chair yoga, lots of exercises while sitting. Yeah, so there's certainly other low impact things that you might be able to do. But I think consultation with an exercise physiologist or PT might be helpful. And I'm sorry that I'm not as familiar with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So.
No, thank you. Because my cardiologist did recommend exercise, that it helps, along with my compression socks and eating a lot of salt. He said I need a ton of salt. And I'm not a salt person, but he said, water doesn't cut it. You have to drink a ton of Gatorade. It's crazy. So that's perfect. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lori. Any last minute thoughts from our panelists? Just kind of unmute yourself and show your kind of call to action to our community here today.
The only thing I have to say, if don't get overwhelmed. It's not going to happen overnight. Small steps, like Julie and Yvette and Carmina, Susanna said, small steps. When we want to lose weight, first of all, Survivor is not only to lose weight, guys. It's a space to be well, right? To be healthy as you can. But since I'm talking about weight loss, right? It's not a linear and it's not a rapid space that you're gonna be 50 pounds or you lose 50 pounds overnight. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna go up and it's gonna go down. It's gonna go up and it's gonna go down. And as human beings, we're impatient, right? Because we want to lose those 50 pounds or 30 pounds or whatever pounds you want overnight. But it's not gonna happen. Be patient, focus, and be consistent. That is the key. Consistency will take you a long way.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you all. Thank you so much to our panelists for being here on this session. If there are no more questions, I think I'm going to pass it over to Morgan or Tamika. Perhaps there's as they get ready for the next session. So again, thank you, Dr. Valley, for being here. Thank you for Susanna for being here and giving us all of your knowledge. We know that you will be doing some great things within the Survivor Slimdown community, so we look forward to that.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.